dawn of a new generation is here, a new civilization. It all began in the mountains and valleys of our plains, where the first of our kind was born by Mother Nature, the cradle of humankind. Ever since then, our species have thrived. We've learned how to speak, write, fly, and create new worlds. Our journey of civilization has taken us to many lands, beyond waters and far into the depth of space. Today, the force of evolution has taken us to the new path. Are we ready to take this leap? To go on this journey, we must return to our origins. As we enter a new epoch for our species, we must understand that the origin of mankind is literally its future. We are leading humanity to this next phase. This is an invitation to begin the journey of the next level of our technological progress, from where our civilization began. Introducing GEN4IR, accelerating our singularity future for development in Africa.
TAF's Global Summit for 2022 will be held at the beautiful Sun City Resort in the Northwest Province of South Africa. It brings together delegates and speakers from various parts of the world who will come and share their experience and expertise and help to come up with collaborative solutions between academia, private and public institutions.
Now, at this summit, first, you will learn about the exponential technologies in communications and information, robotics, artificial intelligence, nanotech, and much more that are going to allow entrepreneurs and reformers in Africa to transform their economies, their institutions, and their whole societies. Second, you are going to be able to meet and talk with those reformers, the intellectuals, and the entrepreneurs who are going to create this transformation. And third, you can be part of the transformation yourself at this conference. You will be engaged. You will see what the future of Africa can be and should be if we unleash the creative intelligence and power of South Africans and people in all African countries.
We have to move along with the moving times. And if you're really concerned about the future of humanity and what we can do in order to change it or make it better for ourselves and for the coming generation, you have to be there. I'll be there 23rd and 24th of March 2022, Sun City, South Africa.
I'm glad that no matter what, we can organize this special event in Sun City, and hope to see you soon, guys. Please check our website, our social media. We are working for you day by day to get together the prominent names all around the world, from biotech, longevity industry, eVTOL, flying car market, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence as well.
Futurists, transhumanists, singularitarians, longevity scientists, industry pioneers will converge to produce ideas that will inspire projects that will drive the fourth industrial revolution. TAFS is a gateway in and out of Africa. We have been connecting governments, companies, organizations, policymakers and entrepreneurs to come together to think, create and build the future of our species. This summit is a futurecast. It features everything from education, blockchain solutions, smart cities, medicine, life extension, amongst many others. Become part of the minds that will fashion the next generation of the fourth industrial revolution. It begins here. Welcome to Sun City. Good intro.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Future Discussions podcast. We are still in the series where we are bringing to you the best minds and the best brands that we will be presenting at the summit that is coming up in 24th and 25th of this month in South Africa, Sun City. This summit, Generation 4IR, presents to you the best minds, the best brands, and the convergence of pioneer, industry leaders, singularitarians, futurists, who will be converging to pioneer extraordinary ideas that will birth extraordinary projects that will drive Africa forward. We're laying the background, we're laying the platform, and we're opening the gateway for these projects to come into Africa and for the young people in Africa to take on the challenge that's ahead of them. So it's with great pleasure that I'd like to welcome our guests to this edition, Adam Davis. Adam is a futurist, a transhumanist writer, and a philosopher. He's actually a unique thinker. And this today's session is very important to me because this whole summit is all about bringing entrepreneurs, industrial pioneers, and inventors, bringing them together in the same room so they can brainstorm, come up with interesting ideas that can drive forward the future of Africa. But it's very important for us to understand that entrepreneurs and tech geeks and all of these people, they cannot create out of nothing. For creation to happen, it has to come from a place of unique imagination. And it is often, we understand that entrepreneurs and creators cannot create in the absence of imagination, in the absence of the creative spirit and the creative background for them to think. And the opportunity to come up with interesting ideas that will transform the world, the opportunity to have the ability to imagine comes from futurists. It comes from thinkers and minds like that of Adam Davis, because these are the people that enable us to imagine and give us the courage to dare to dream. Adam's works, I've read a couple of Adam's works, and I must say that he brings to the table a unique way of thinking and a unique way of approaching the regular issues that we have. And he not only looks at problems from a unique angle, but he gives you the courage to question the unquestionable and to try to imagine the unimaginable. So think of it this way: when someone is talking about the abolition of suffering, how possible is that? We often think that suffering is an intrinsic part of human nature. But here you are, Adam, bringing before you, giving you the courage to actually dare to question the very notion of suffering, which is thought to be an intrinsic part of human nature. So, with great pleasure, that I'd like to welcome Adam, so that he can give us some insight into what is going to be helping us to imagine, how he's going to be expanding our imagination ahead of what we have with the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you, Adam, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, Hugo. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the introduction and the yes, that was that was beautiful. Thank you. So, and thank you again for inviting me to speak at the conference and inviting me to speak here for this podcast as well. I really enjoy going on podcasts and roundtable discussions, video debates, and public speeches and presentations, and so especially when I'm given a chance to talk about my passions and special interests. And the problem of suffering is my overarching priority. Really, it's something that I feel like is something.
Oh, you can hear me?
Oh,
Networks.
yes. Yeah, sorry, is the connection a bit poor?
Yes.
Oh, can you hear me all right now?
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's quiet.
So, oh, okay. I think maybe the internet's just a bit. All right, so I'll try again. So yes, my name is Adam. I'm 32 years of age, and I am from Nottingham in the middle of England. I have lived here all my life. Nottingham is my home city, and I'm still here living in Nottingham. It's a cool city. There's a lot going on, and I've met a lot of people who have shared similar interests and creative impulses, such as myself. It's a very creatively fertile city, and So, but yeah, even though I've lived here all my life, I do like to travel. So I'm looking forward to visiting South Africa. Certainly one country I never imagined I would get the opportunity to visit. So it was quite a nice surprise to be asked. So thank you.
Yeah, interesting. Give us a little glimpse into our presentation that you will be doing at South Africa, so that we can have an insight into what it means to even think about suffering and possibilities of eradicating it. To some people, that might seem absurd, but I understand that you have more for us. So, anyway.
Thank you. Certainly. Well, like yourself and the other guests and delegates and your colleagues at Tufts, I'm, like I said, a futurist. I like to use the words futurist, transhumanist, posthumanist interchangeably. I know there are some subtle differences, but I do use those three words interchangeably. As we all know, futurism, transhumanism, so on, all made up of numerous schools of thought, cultures and subcultures, all with differing values and priorities, encompassing and synthesizing different disciplines and different combinations depending on what it is that is being hoped to achieve. So a few obvious examples include life extension ranging from indefinite biological lifespans to full-on immortalism, mind uploading, superintelligence, neural prostheses, AI, existential risks, or mitigating and preventing existential risks, and even military applications as well, where researching and developing new weapons and combat, like with super soldiers and drones and exoskeletons and so on. Of course, many of these listed examples overlap in others in different degrees, like a Venn diagram. And a lot, specifically with like military applications of technology, that's the opposite of what I would like to see human race achieve with technology. So, and I think there's an awful lot of bias and cognitive dissonance, especially among people who aren't so familiar with this school of thought. Whether it's transhumanism or the abolition of suffering or whatever. So I think when words like transhumanism and singularitarianism are used, these are the things most people think of the most in their heads. These are the where many of the associations take people's minds. So the one I'm most interested in, the subgroup, the philosophy I feel most aligned with, is the abolition of suffering, suffering abolitionism. It also has other names like bioethical abolitionism, negative utilitarianism, and I do think that is certainly one of the less commonly known movements, subcultures, philosophies, and so I feel compelled to talk about it, to try and make this vision more known, to try and get it more accepted, and to clear up some of the biases people have, as you know, because you quite rightly said, a lot of people think quite dualistically. They think you can't have this without the other, you can't have black without white, you can't have happiness and pleasure without suffering and pain. So I think maybe quite, as well as a revolution in technology and the society and culture, there needs to be a revolution in thinking as well, and in consciousness. So my biggest influence was a fellow English philosopher called David Pearce. He was one of the main pioneers of this school of thought, and his website, headweb.com, was and still is full of his writing, well, even more writing now, and detailing all of these ideas and arguments, arguing for a radical departure from what he calls the Darwinian abyss full of pain, suffering, and misery. The endless cycle of predator and prey, and among humans as well. We all know how badly humans treat each other. So when I first encountered David Pearce's work, being one of the pioneers of suffering abolitionism, it just captured me and filled me with that euphoric eureka joy, in the eureka moment where you find some commonality between everything that exists and has existed and will exist, or something fundamental that links all the different spheres of human and non-human life and activity. like the theory of everything, or the prime mover, or the unmoved mover. So with suffering abolitionism, I think when I give my presentation, I'll probably do it in two main chunks. So the first one will be about the philosophy, the theory, the intellectual approach to this problem, ethics and morals. So why should we abolish suffering? What can go wrong? What are the unforeseen consequences? What can be done to prevent the suffering abolitionist project from just accidentally causing more suffering than there was before to begin with? Are humans handicapped by millions of years of fighting and territorial disputes and killing, thus compromising the abolitionist project from the very beginning before it's even had a chance to really evolve? And would it be like asking a tiger to reflect on all the pain and suffering it has caused its prey and to become vegetarian? Speaking of which, what about wild animal suffering, which is one of the more controversial subtopics within an already controversial school of thought? And it also includes the age-old questions like the problem of evil. Why does evil exist? Why does suffering exist? Does it have a purpose? If there is a God, and if God did indeed create or have a hand in creating our universe, why did he build one where evil could not only exist but thrive? If there is a God, is he, she, they evil themselves or sadistic? So the philosophical side is where I feel more where I feel more concerned. And then of course the other part of the presentation will be about the practical applications of all the knowledge we have gathered to make the living world a better place. Of course, that's includes all the disciplines that humans work in. So emerging technologies such as gene therapy, deep brain stimulation, psychopharmacology, neurology, refitting our brains for a more robust mu-opioid reward system, a multidisciplinary approach to the problem of suffering. Really, suffering is everywhere. It is all-encompassing. Thus, we need all the knowledge we can gather from all different disciplines and fields to become all-encompassing ourselves. And this might be where devices like Musk's Neuralink can come in useful. We have so much knowledge that it is too much for one person, or even just like a think tank or a few people to use most effectively. I'm inclined to think that we do require knowledge and applications from across all the sciences, philosophies, ethical and moral codes to get ourselves out of the cycle of samsara of pain and suffering which humans and non-humans alike have been trapped in for billions of years. But there is too much knowledge for normal human beings, so we might not have much of a choice but to merge with, or merge with AI so that we can think with more of an enhanced capacity and storage space than ever before. And I think within transhumanism, the abolition of suffering is a funny one, because we're all very much aware of how badly living beings can suffer. You know, we've all watched nature documentaries about tigers and lions hunting gazelle and crocodiles hunting zebra. But one of the biases that I think we should challenge is there something that we can do about that? Or because suffering, in my opinion, the philosophy of the abolition of suffering is like an ultimate value. Suffering and pain are, I mean, of course, some pain is useful. You know, we need to be able to know where, if something is too hot, we need to take our hand off. But we need to kind of undergo a paradigm shift where we can think, is there some way we can use like prosthesis to detect noxious stimuli that would normally cause pain, so like a hot kettle of boiling water or a cactus, without the phenomenal qualia of pain. Like and a good example is robots. Some robots know if something is too acidic, and then they have a signal that tells them to pull back so that they don't damage the robots. So these things are all these technologies are coming, but I think the biggest roadblocks are social and cultural as well, and we're stuck in we're stuck in biases and
the mindset.
yeah, it's millions of years old, and we have millions, billions of years of genetic information to kind of try and overcome.
Exactly.
Really, if I'm, yeah.
It's very interesting that you talk about this, because this is a topic that is quite, as I would say, it's quite controversial, but at the same time, it's also very hard to, because in the past, the questions of questions like this, we are left in the domain of philosophy and for philosophers to deal with. But increasingly, our capacity to tool the world and to make corrections in the world and to create stuff becomes sophisticated and even more potent. These questions have left the realm of philosophy and is now in the realm of our engineering, in the realm of life science, and it has become more of a practical question. So whatever conclusions and generalizations and solutions that we come up with on a theoretical philosophical basis, were to a large extent practical applications and implications. So, and that's where I get even more concerned with questions like this, because all tools, all technology has essentially elevated us to the level of a gold status, where when you think of abolition of suffering, like you talk about being able to have an enhanced sense and signals that will allow you to actually interpret the world from a much advanced level, instead of having to suffer before you can understand the feeling, the perceptions, the signals that are coming from the world. In this case, the question of suffering. If you have that technology, essentially, we will eventually continue to enhance these tools to the point that we godlike. Now, the question that becomes, what would that make us? In the year 3000, what would we become? What kind of sentient, because essentially a huge part of a sentient being is the ability to know that which is not good, to know something. And for you to continually evolution, and increasing part of evolution is suffering, it's pain, in the sense that you know that there is an environment uncomfortable, and then you actually work to advance it. It's actually the difference between entropy and evolution, or what many will call negentropy. So ability to differentiate between these two and then go towards actually building towards a better future and a better situation instead of affairs. So these questions, I know that you'll be exploring them in detail, but these are my own curiosities. I guess I can't wait to 24th to explore the questions, but these are my own curiosities with this, because I'm really curious as to what would this make us? How will we handle that?
I can hear you a bit, but I think the connection's a bit. But I think I heard some of what you were saying. Can you still hear me? Okay? Am I? Oh no.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Continue.
Sorry, this connection seems to be a bit embarrassing.
Yes. So the question I asked was, I know my network is not stable because of weather conditions, but the core of the core of my question is, in the face of these enhanced abilities, the face of these our advanced tools, our advanced technologies, which has the capacity to turn us into the God, which has the capacity to make whatever we think become reality, even without us trying too hard. What do you think projects like this abolitionist projects like these, will turn us into? And how do you think it will affect our future? Do we have, this is if it's actually going to turn us into gods, can we handle being that kind of a god in the future?
I think I could hear what you said. I I think as well as my vision of the one thing I like about transhumanism and futurism is that the ideas are so uh, um, there's so
Now,
much
now, Bracket.
yeah. Oh. Is that I think technology is also kind of like a spiritual consideration as well, and I think that that is an essential part of our life that I think is unfairly dismissed in within transhumanism and posthumanism, and certainly I think I heard you talk about the real far future, like the year 3000. One of the most radical ideas I've come across in futurism is the idea of quantum archaeology as something I think is the most far out idea I've come across in futurism, where we will be able well posthumans thousands of millennia from now will be able to I think this loops back to like Russian cosmism as well, in the 18th and 19th century, that we will have technology that is so powerful that by the time the heat death of the universe starts to happen, we might have the technology to stop that and even reverse it. And I heard you mention the word negentropy in there, and I think in a kind of like transhumanist spiritual system framework, I think when we have technology as powerful as quantum archaeology, we will have like pretty essentially godlike powers, so that we will be able to bring back to life everything that has ever existed and died. And I think that the afterlife, as detailed in mystical systems, is probably just like the far future, if we do ever get to a point where quantum archaeology, whatever that kind of technology would look like, would become perfected. And but I think one of the trickiest thought experiments with the abolition of suffering is the like the multiverse. You know, if there are infinite variations of our lives where we go one way instead of going the other, then that could potentially mean there are unlimited and infinite number of different like alternative lives or alternative universes. And so and I mean I hope that we get to a point where we can send rescue missions out into space and help other ecosystems where there is predation and prey and things like that. But we have to kind of we have to hold a mirror up to ourselves as well and ask the question: are we compromising our development? Is our potential to grow into this vision of the future compromised from our own kind of like Darwinian genetics and information encoded into our genes, like the example of asking a tiger not to hunt a deer, and asking a tiger, trying to convince it that it shouldn't be causing pain and suffering. Because even now we see it, with the Ukraine and Russia crisis. There's still that kind of territorialism and competition and jockeying for power and wars. Even with and that's one of the main things is our technological advancements have exploded exponentially, but the necessary wisdom needed to responsibly use it, it has not is not matched with the how advanced we are technologically. Um, case in point, nuclear weapons, unbelievably advanced technology, but we haven't got the same level of wisdom needed to not develop such weapons in the first place, or bear the responsibility of using technology that powerful. I mean, I do believe that within my lifespan and your lifespan, we will have the technology to, if not abolish suffering completely, radically minimize it. Because philosophically, in nature, pain and suffering are, we could say that one of the main purposes is to say, being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, it's either fight or flight. But there are lots of cases in the natural world and in human civilization where someone who is suffering can neither fight nor run away, so they're just suffering needlessly, like being tortured. So I think we have to maybe put some of these more far out ideas on the back burner for a bit, and then decide on more near term measures to implement, so that it forms a strong foundation for these more futuristic ideas to come and be built. I mean, for instance, there are groups like effective altruists, which was an idea and a movement pioneered by Peter Singer, of course. And effective altruism is more grounded and practically applicable to the here and now. And furthermore, many within the abolition community advocate a vegan diet and lifestyle, and recommend reading about the Jains and some of their practices. And that's becoming more doable, because we're seeing the lab meat being grown and 3D printed, and meat and lab meat, so it's like meat without the suffering, and also mimetic engineering and marketing to make suffering abolitionism seem less way out there and beyond, for instance. So instead of maybe terms like the abolition of suffering, it might be wiser for the moment to use language in terms that are more palatable, such as the radical minimization of extreme and involuntary forms of suffering, which sounds a lot more reasonable and achievable, or even advocating for an anti-torture stance and campaigning for the outlawing and abolition of torture and closing down government black sites. I think more people, ordinary people, would be more prepared to get behind ideas like that, whereas there's more far out ideas, I think, probably scare people a bit, because they're so advanced and require a few changes in person's thinking.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. I think majority of these ideas, I must say these ideas are not only interesting, but they are specific, because when these ideas, as strange as they might sound to many people, but when we start looking at them and that saying, it appears this is not actually that bad as we thought of it. This is actually what we need if we're going to achieve what we're going forward. And not only is it making sense to us, but it becomes more practically useful in our applications. And this, like I said at the beginning of the section, we need minds like yours. We need futurists, transhumanists, and philosophers like you to help engineers, to help creators, and the entrepreneurs think about the conditions of human beings, the conditions, and take more practical ways to solve these problems, and from a much higher perspective, and not just about markets or how but when you start thinking of these things as the pain that my grandmother feels when she's suffering cancer,
Oh,
the
yeah.
pain that my dog feels, when she affected, when her leg is broken. Thinking of those problems from those more realistic and personal perspective, and it's then the drive to and to solve problems becomes even more potent and can actually lead to faster development and progress as we look at it. So there are other questions that I hope to address, that I hope to ask you in this topic, with regard to psychological pain as against physical pain and all of that. But I hope that we will explore this in more detail at this topic. So thank you so much for this opportunity and coming on board to share with us some of the insights of what we're going to be presenting uh, at this summit. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, you broke up a bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying thank you so much for coming on board and sharing with us what you have for us at the summit. I hope to explore questions at the summit itself. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you, Hugo.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry for my network. I
No,
guess that caused me pain. I guess that caused me pain and suffering also. And also sorry to the audience. Hopefully this will improve. That's why we need these kind of ideas to know that even things as simple as internet can cause suffering and pain to people who are listening keen to hear ideas that have been obstructed by the.
oh, the connection's a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit bad. Yeah, yes, listening, but it's okay. So we look forward to seeing you. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys for coming on board.
Oh, this connection. Oh, this is embarrassing. Sorry. This. I think I yeah. Y I think I heard what you said. Yes, I think this definitely. What you said about like the grandmother. Yes. I I think if the complete eradication of involuntary suffering is still a bit technically not feasible, then another idea that I read about from another abolitionist thinker, Robert Daoust, was like a kind of limiter. So maybe like it's a genetic intervention or a pharmaceutical intervention where pain doesn't reach past a certain threshold because it's unfortunately pain and suffering are, well, hopefully not not infinite on an infinite scale, but that when it's like with the fight and flight argument, when pain and suffering are no longer useful, if you can't do anything, if you can't fight or flight, and the pain is just causing unnecessary suffering, like if you're just immobilized, then some kind of intervention where the not person's nociception doesn't go over a certain threshold would be, well, but I think would be revolutionary in itself. And I mean, of course, we've got things like opiates and painkillers for that kind of purpose, but they are, well, we all know the kind of potential negative consequences, yeah, of yeah, and so it's not always consistently reliable across, a cross section of different people.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on board. We look forward to seeing you at the summit.
Me too. Sorry about the connection.
Yeah, me too. It's part of the suffering that we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I think it's because maybe I think my brother's home, so maybe he's eating some of the internet connection. But yeah, I'll see you in Sun City very soon.
Yeah, me too. Take care.
Thank you, Hugo.
Yeah.